Hey, it's me. I'm just calling to say it's really not that deep.
So it's been 3 weeks since episode 1, and listen, I could sit here and list every reason why I haven't posted. I had my family staying, business has been hectic, the house has been chaos, I've been feeling a bit off, but honestly, those are just excuses, and not even good ones. I've actually been completely fine and it's not even been that hectic, but the reality is I've just been standing in my own way fully. I'm the CEO of overcomplicating everything and then doing nothing. And what's crazy is I was so excited after episode 1. I got so many lovely messages from people saying that it helped them feel seen, it shifted something in them, or they just really loved the vibe of the podcast, and I was so proud of it. And the second that it got real and I saw people were actually listening to it, I froze and I started second guessing literally everything. I was thinking, have I got to change the name? Is the audio good enough? Is it too chatty? Is it cringe to talk like this? Am I sharing too much? Should I have it more structured? What if people that I know listen think it's weird? And my brain did this full 180. I went from loving it to completely spiraling in the background, and I didn't even decide to record. I'd always planned to record every single week. I just kept pushing it back. And I know that I'm not the only person who does this. I talk to so many people, especially women building something of their own, building a business, who do the exact same thing. They start something that they care about and then they gain a little traction, it gets a bit real, and all of a sudden they're like, maybe I'll come back to this later. So this episode is for you. If that's the person that you are, if you find yourself procrastinating on something that you actually want to do, if you keep pretending that you need more time or clarity or motivation when deep down you already know, you're just scared, basically scared of being seen, of being judged, of not doing it right or perfect. And I get it because I've been there, I am there. But the thing is, the more that you care about something, the more your brain will try to protect you from it. And that's what we're going to unpack today. The weird little ways that we sabotage our own momentum, why we pull back when things start to go well, how to catch ourselves before we let another month pass us by doing the same thing. So let's just get into it. Let's just start with the pattern, because this kind of thing isn't really new for me. This is a pattern that I have seen in myself for years, like clockwork. Every single time something starts to work, I pull back. And I'm not even talking about just the things that I don't enjoy or stuff that isn't aligned. I'm talking about the exact things that I do care about, that do feel good, the things that I want to do, the things that feel exciting when they start. Like this podcast, for example, the first episode drops, I get good feedback, I feel proud, and then suddenly I'm off the grid. And then I blink and it's been 3 weeks. And not because I've changed my mind or because I'm not into it, it's literally because it went well. That's what happens. Same with my content. If I post something that pops off or people enjoy or that hits home, and instead of riding that wave and keep it going, I just freeze. I decide to just go off the grid. I disappear. I start planning things too much instead of just posting them. I start rewriting instead of publishing. I suddenly just get so busy with life admin or helping someone else with their stuff that then my stuff takes a back seat. Even with the gym, sometimes when I start to see progress, I then let things slip off. And I'm not saying that rest is bad. I think it's really important to rest and regroup, but sometimes it's not always rest. It's like avoidance or procrastination disguised as rest, and it's sneaky. And even with business, I can have times where things are flowing, incomes are good, clients are aligned and doing really well, and then I'll spend days messing around in Canva or tweaking some dashboard that just because I want it to be fresh. And it's the second that things start to feel good, I find ways to make them harder, or I start looking for problems to solve that don't even exist. And instead of continuing to take action, I try to perfect a package or overthink or overanalyze. I change fonts, I redo my services, I write long journal entries about how I want to feel in business instead of actually just posting the offer that I was already excited about and I knew that it was good. And what's crazy is for a while I didn't even know this was self-sabotage, because in the moment it feels like you're being intentional, you're taking your time, you want things to be perfect. And now after clocking this, I can spot it a mile away. I know that it's not rest. I know that it's not strategy. It's fear. There's a subconscious part of me that's we're getting too close to the edge, let's rein it in. I will spend so much time on my mindset, manifesting growth, abundance, visibility, all these things. And then the second they start to show up, I'm like, maybe I'm not ready for this. And it's crazy. And I don't even do it consciously. I don't wake up and say, today I'm going to ignore my goals and avoid the exact thing that I've been praying for months or years. Obviously not. I don't even know that I'm doing it. But what I'll do is I offer to help someone else with their thing. I'll decide like the house needs clean. I'll write my to-do list out over and over again instead of actually just doing them. I'll give myself an extra day to plan before launching, and I'll stare at the screen and plan my content calendar for an hour instead of just picking a post and letting publish. And then I wonder, why am I not getting the results I wanted? Why are things taking longer? And I know why. I've learned to catch myself now. For a while I'd be like thinking success is hard, and don't get me wrong, it is hard, but I wasn't actually doing anything to get it, so why would it be easy? And I've learned to catch myself now, but it's taken time. First I used to beat myself up. I'd be like, you never stick to things, you always fall off, you always talk about it and never follow through. And it didn't really help either, because then I'm shaming myself on top of already feeling like stuck. So now I'm like, no, this is literally just like a nervous system thing. It's a pattern. And once you start to see it for what it is, it gets so much easier to interrupt, and you realize you're not lazy. I'm going to say it's not a lack of discipline. It is in a way, but it's just your body and your brain defaulting to what feels familiar. So even if the familiar feeling is not a good one, if it's plateauing and feeling behind, because familiar equals safe, even if it's not what you want. And I've noticed this even with some of my clients and my friends, like they'll be killing it one week, getting loads of engagement, feeling confident, and suddenly they'll go quiet, or they start second guessing themselves and they start rewriting captions that were already amazing in the first place, or looking over their offers. And I always say the same thing. It's not about the content, it's about, can your nervous system hold the spotlight? Can your body sit with the success or sit with the results without needing to actually fix something? Because I feel like that's what I struggle with sometimes. The minute that I start to get momentum, then it's almost like it freaks me out. And I feel like sometimes failure can be predictable, familiar, we've done it before, you know how to handle that. But sustaining progress, success, like that can bring stuff up, because to be honest, it's unfamiliar. And I'm being really honest about that because I feel like someone can probably relate, and maybe you've noticed that in yourself too. Every single time that something starts to flow, you disappear, you ghost your goals, you tell yourself you just need more time or clarity, or you need to buy a new planner or a new journal or new stationery or reset your workspace. But really you're just scared of what happens if it works. What happens if people start paying attention? What happens if your business takes off? What happens if you finally feel good in your body and then have to stay there? People talk about it and it's called like your upper limit, where your body is so used to like chaos or things being a challenge that when you start to feel peaceful or easeful, you freak out, you start to sabotage it, you maybe start drama or problems just to keep yourself in the same baseline state of discomfort. And I'm not saying that to scare you, I'm just saying that once you realize it's happening, you can stop blaming yourself, or you can stop making excuses or blaming other people, and you can start shifting it, because you are not lazy, you're not inconsistent, you're not undisciplined, well, maybe a little bit, I know I certainly am sometimes, but you're just carrying old conditioning, and that's okay. That's human. The only way out of it is through it, I guess. And you have to start choosing a new story, even if your body doesn't believe it yet, even if it's not even the truth for you yet, even if it feels wobbly, or it feels like it's too good to be true, or if it feels cringe or awkward and embarrassing, you just need to show up anyway. I feel like that's what breaks the cycle. People say like fake it till you make it, and I don't think fake it, but definitely start showing up as the person that accomplishes the things that you want to accomplish. And if you feel like you've been stuck in a cycle of almost starting things, this might be why. And the fact that you are aware of that is definitely the first step. I always say, start doing the actions of the person that you want to become or the goals that you want to have. Let's talk about why we actually do this. Why do we pull back when things start to go well? Why do we procrastinate the exact thing we want to do? Why make it harder than it needs to be, even when we know how to make it simple? Because it's not a random thing. It's not just an annoying personality trait that you have. It's not just because you're lazy. There is a real psychological nervous system reason for why we stand in our own way. But I want to break it down in a way that you're going to be like, oh, this is what's going on. The first thing I think is important to understand is that your brain is not wired for your goals. Your brain is wired for survival. It doesn't care if you're fulfilled. It doesn't care if you're aligned. It doesn't care if you're successful. It doesn't care if your soul is like screaming for more. Your brain just wants to keep you alive. What equals safety to the brain is like what's familiar. So if your whole life has looked a certain way, even if it's been exhausting, anxious, burnt out, invisible, broke, it's like, cool, we know this, we've survived this, let's stay here. And the second that you start to do something new, even if it's a good thing, even if it feels good, if it feels aligned, if it's what you've been working towards, your brain registers it as a threat. And that's when you can start to feel a bit of resistance. When you suddenly feel the urge to reorganize your Pinterest board, your notes app, or delete all your photos, or call some random person back. You literally do everything other than the thing that you said you were going to do, because your brain is like, wait, are we sure this is safe? What if we mess it up? What if we get it wrong? What if we become a meme and everyone hates us, or embarrasses us, or we have to run away? I don't know. Crazy things like that. It starts to spiral. I know mine does anyway. Even if you don't consciously feel the fear, your subconscious is already on high alert. And this is what people mean when they talk about having like an upper limit problem. It's this idea that every person has an internal thermostat for how much love, support, success, peace, joy, or visibility that they feel safe holding. And the second that you go beyond that limit, you unconsciously do something to bring yourself back down. Not because you don't want it, not because it's not an important goal or you're not going to feel amazing when it happens. It's because your nervous system literally just doesn't know how to hold it. Think about all the times in your life where things were going really well. You were in a flow, you were showing up, you were getting noticed, people were engaging, and you finally felt like it was working, and then you ghost. Or a relationship was going really well and then you pick a fight and you start overthinking, you end up getting on well, or just something starts to go wrong, or you start to do things that maybe stand in your way without realizing it. Or you start your business again and you think that let's create a new logo, let's change our colors up, let's rebrand, and you start again with a new 3-month plan. That's basically like your nervous system responding to change. It's like you've hit your upper limit, and it happens to all of us. It's like you're stuck in like a loop, and it's a response, especially if you're the kind of person that maybe grew up in survival mode, or if you were constantly being praised for, I don't know, being helpful, being humble, or easy to manage. And if you had to constantly shrink yourself to maybe feel loved or accepted, all of those things can mean that that is what is safe to you. So when you start to then do something that's like bold, or something that's honest, or maybe it's saying no to people, or like having boundaries, something vulnerable, or something that requires you to like be seen for who you actually are, or let the guards down, your system freaks out. It's like, wait, so we're not people pleasing anymore, we're not double checking what everyone thinks, we're just doing the thing that we care about. That's really bizarre, let's stop. And sometimes like the scariest part isn't always the fear of failing or the fear of getting it wrong. Sometimes it's like the fear of getting it right. What if people do listen? What if things get big? What if you actually start to get busy and you can't keep up? What if it changes your identity so much that you don't recognize yourself, or you've got to lose friends, or you've got to outgrow people or things? Or at the end of the day, when you're on a journey to change your life, you literally have to change your life, and that means everything. And I think sometimes like, we're scared of like what that means because we don't know what it looks like, or we're scared of not being good enough, or we're scared of like becoming someone that we don't even know yet, or we haven't met yet. And that's what makes it so hard, because you're not just building a business or launching a podcast or showing up online or living somewhere new. You're building a whole new sense of self, and that's when your identity can sometimes lag with the actions and the things that you're doing. So it's when your external life starts shifting, you're posting more, you're being consistent, you're landing clients, you're talking with confidence, but your internal identity hasn't caught up yet. So even though that you're doing those things, deep down, you still see yourself as the person that maybe hides, or maybe the one that doesn't get picked on the team, or the one that starts something but never finishes, or the one that's terrible with money, or always spends money, or never has money. And that dissonance, your ego hates that. Your ego craves consistency. It wants to stay the same. Even if the same isn't working, even if the same makes you miserable, your brain craves that consistency. So when you start to shift, it fights it. It distracts you, it delays you, it doubts you, it convinces you that launching is too risky, no one's watching you, maybe you should wait till next month, or till things get better, till there's a perfect time. And at the end of the day, I feel like no one tells you your brain is going to sabotage your own growth to protect your old identity. It's crazy. And we've all done it, but how do we break the pattern? How do you actually hold in that discomfort for long enough, in that weird in-between stage long enough for your identity to actually catch up. So what you need to do is you need to show up even when your hands are shaking, even when you don't feel ready, even when things aren't perfect. And then once you take that leap, you then build the confidence and your brain then starts to catch up. I always say, like, you've got to actually start showing up as that person, doing the actions and forcing yourself to do the things even when it doesn't feel comfortable, because your brain's never going to push you to do that. It's going to feel uncomfortable because your brain is used to familiar, and if chaos is being your normal, then you're going to keep choosing chaos unless you intentionally create that new normal. So this is the part that no one sees, the invisible work, the choosing to show up even if it feels like it'd be easier not to. You don't need to hustle harder or fix your personality. You just need to remind yourself over and over again, this path is safe, because it is. And you just need to keep putting one foot in front of the other, because having nice things is safe, living in alignment is safe, being seen is safe. And the more that you show up to do these things and tell your body that and tell your brain that through the repetition, through the consistency, through regulating your nervous system, it starts to believe you and it lets you stay there. And if you just start to move through that uncomfortable phase, then you subconsciously will stop resisting. So if you're in a spiral right now, if you keep pulling yourself back, if you keep delaying things, if you change your mind again, just pause, breathe, accept the fact that you're not broken, you're just figuring it out, you're expanding, you're growing, and your nervous system and your brain hasn't caught up with this new version of you yet, but it will. Let's talk about how I personally move through this. For me, what actually helps, I feel like I've gotten in such a good place recently in different areas. Obviously, I still procrastinate, hence this podcast is taking 3 weeks, but there's a lot of areas where I don't anymore. So here's what actually helps me break the cycle. And the first thing for me is always movement. I know that that's not revolutionary, but it works. When I feel frozen, when I'm overthinking, when I'm in that weird funk of wanting to do everything and nothing at the same time, I need to move my body, because it's so like that always helps. Instead of just trying to think or plan, I just move. And sometimes that's a walk, sometimes, well, pretty much every day it's a swim. Sometimes it's just dancing around my house, my pajamas, or Pilates, or stretching, or whatever it is. It doesn't even matter what it is, because it's not even about fitness always for me. It's about energy, how I feel. It's about me having that time to really regroup and think what is important to me. And it's about telling my body, let's just move. We're not in danger. And by the time that I have done my movement, I'm usually back in the zone. I'll go for like a 30-minute walk, and by the time I'm back at my house, I've written out content in my notes app, or I'm voice noting myself. I voice note myself all the time with ideas. I'm planning launches. I just feel like you just get inspired sometimes. If you're stuck in your house or in an office all day working, then you're not really getting any of those subconscious downloads from outside. So it's so important to get out, see what's there, and get inspired. And that's what always is my first go-to. If I'm in a rut or I'm feeling stuck or like I'm procrastinating, I just move. Next thing is messy action. Literally messy. This is the hardest one for me because I love a plan. I want things to be aesthetic and polished and intentional, but sometimes I feel like it's just procrastination and perfectionism in disguise. I've learned not even to lower the bar, but I've learned to do things even if I'm not ready and just start, even if I don't have it all perfectly figured out. Even if it's not how I imagine, I don't have the budget for the Hollywood production, just record the video, just post the photo, just upload the website, just get it started. You can always tweak it later, because sometimes it just takes that time to shift that energy of just doing. And once you start to do, you then build momentum. And I feel like I am a perfectionist. Sometimes if I let that get to me, I would delay everything and I would delay it forever. And I'll keep saying I'm still refining, but deep down I know I'm just scared. And I just keep asking myself, what would be the easiest way to do this today? What do I need to get something out there? Not the best way, not the perfect way, not the most expensive way, not the most impressive way. Just what's the easiest way to get it out there? And most of the time, the things that I almost didn't share, or the messy things that I just do quickly, they get the most traction. Even this podcast, I just did it. I didn't have a studio, I don't have a perfect setup, I don't even know what I'm doing. I just did it and got good feedback. You would not be hearing this right now if I didn't just post the podcast before it was ready. Messy action over perfectionism every single time. I always say that. The next thing that I do, which is something that I'm actually really good at, I call myself out. I call myself out a lot. I literally talk to myself in my head, even sometimes out loud. I'll be scrolling on TikTok, watching some random girls, what I eat in a day, and I literally will say to myself, like, Jodie, what is the purpose of this? And if I say the purpose of this is just because I'm procrastinating and we're not doing it anymore, sometimes the purpose is actually just because I want to have a little rest. It's okay. But you have to just say, like, is this getting me towards my goal? And sometimes your highest self isn't there yet, and you've got to start just showing up like that. So for me, it's about calling myself out. Is this getting me towards my goals? Would my highest self be doing this? And if the answer is no, then let's not do it. It's never going to get you where you want to be if you're doing the same things repeatedly. Another thing is structure. Structure is a big one for me. I need structure, not in a rigid corporate hustle culture kind of way, but just like the structure of knowing what I have to do. If I don't write things down, plan my day, or give myself like work blocks, then I end up just doing everything else but the things I have to do. If I let my day be run by me, I get distracted so easily. I'll go on about 20 side quests in the day. So instead I block out, I'm going to sit down for 90 minutes and have deep focus here, and then have a little bit of break. And that's just like, for me, I have to be really structured with my day and what I've got to do, and write my to-do lists. And once it's there, I'm like, okay, let's tick it off. And the last thing is telling the difference between actual rest and procrastination disguised as rest. I feel like rest is really important. Sometimes you're just tired, you're overstimulated, sometimes you just like, your soul just needs quiet, you need to sleep. But other times rest is like your brain saying you're scared. Or now I just ask myself, am I resting or am I hiding? Am I doing this for my body to get myself back to full capacity, or am I avoiding things? And if you're sat on the couch like scrolling on your phone for 5 hours, like most of the time you are just like procrastinating, but sometimes you actually need to rest, and that's okay. I don't judge myself either. I just say, is this actually rest? And I allow myself to rest as well. I find like if I force things too much, that sometimes it can become like this really hectic energy of like chase, and it feels really uncomfortable and feels really stressful. So sometimes for me it is just resting and allowing myself to have that space to clear my head and like get to the next step, but just not too much to the sense where I just don't do anything. So yeah, those are like how I get myself out of it. Those things, resting when I need to rest, and then also coming back to what's the purpose. And when I start to spiral or overthink, or I feel like giving up, I zoom out and I remind myself, why am I doing this? Why did I start? Why is this important to me? What am I doing this for? Who am I here for? And I know deep down I'm not here to play small. But you didn't do all this learning and growing and trying to push myself just to stay in the same cycle. I'm here to break the cycle, to speak, to share, to create, to expand, to say that it's okay to show up for yourself. It's okay to show up for your soul. And my soul wants to be expressed. My soul wants to feel alive. Even procrastinating, shrinking, staying small, doing the same shit over and over again doesn't make my soul feel alive. It doesn't feel like living to me. So ask yourself, are you honoring that goal of yours? You said you had a goal. You said you want to build a business. You said you want to lose weight. You said you want to feel healthy. You said all these things. Are your actions honoring that person right now who made those goals? Or are you letting fear hold you back? Are you letting other people's opinions hold you back? And that question grinds me every time, because I didn't come this far to keep hiding. I didn't say yes to these things just to show up at 30% capacity. So I remind myself, I'm allowed to be seen. I'm allowed to do well. I'm allowed to let things be easy and let things flow. I don't have to hustle all the time. I don't have to prove anything. I just have to move. I just have to move in the right direction, even if it's slow, even if it's messy, even if I'm scared, because the version of me who's clear and confident and consistent and has all of her goals and has achieved all of her goals, she doesn't get there by overthinking or procrastinating. She gets there by doing. So let's just do it, messy and all. And if you've made it this far into this episode, then I already know something about you. I already know that you care deeply about your life, about your dreams, about showing up as the best version of yourself. Even if you don't feel like her yet, you have got that quiet fire inside your soul that keeps you coming back, even after you ghost yourself a little, even after you spiral or procrastinate, even after you fall off the wagon and you convince yourself that you've ruined everything, you've ruined your life, and you still come back. You are still here, and I want to speak to you. I want to speak to the girl who keeps trying, even if the trying is messy. Even if you fall off the horse 10 times and you get back on. Even if it's being inconsistent, if it's full of self-doubt and all those things. You're not lazy. You're learning how to hold more. You're learning how to feel safe with this new version of you. You're learning how to trust yourself enough to follow through on what you actually want. And that's not easy. It's not light work, okay? The thing that no one tells you about building your business is it's going to open up a whole can of worms that you didn't even know existed, okay? Sometimes ignorance is bliss. It's not something that you're going to fix with a morning routine and a 5-minute productivity hack. It takes awareness, okay? It takes courage, it takes compassion, it takes unlearning things. Not just things, it takes unlearning literally everything that you know about yourself and what life is. And if no one said this to you lately, I am proud of you. Not for doing everything perfectly, not for getting through your to-do list this week, but for still showing up, for still growing, for still figuring it all out in a way that feels true to you. And here is the truth. You already know what to do, okay? You already know what to do. You don't need another course. You don't need another pep talk. You don't need to wait until you feel ready. You are ready enough. You're allowed to take action while still figuring it out. You're allowed to actually do stuff, even if you don't know it all. You're allowed to start again without feeling guilt. You're allowed to move forward, even if your inner voice in your head is being a little bitchy and being a little mean and a little bit rude. Even if your inner critic is being a bitch, you're allowed to move forward. And the one thing that's helped me a lot is realizing that you don't need to feel confident to act. You build confidence through acting. Your action creates the confidence, it creates the clarity, it builds momentum. And every time that you do something that you've been putting off, even in the smallest way, even just like hanging up the washing instead of letting it sit there for 5 hours and then washing it again. How many times do we do that? You reinforce that identity of the girl who does it anyway. And that's what this is really about. It's not about hustle culture or productivity. It's about your identity and who you're becoming. So let me say this loud and clear. You are allowed to outgrow the version of you who second guesses everything. You're allowed to stop proving yourself and just be yourself. You're allowed to believe in your own ideas. You're allowed to feel safe being seen. And even if that still feels hard, that's okay. You're allowed to take it one baby step at a time. No one's asking you to do overnight, but you do have to start. Pick a tiny thing, and like I said, just do it. Not because you feel 100% ready, but because you've decided you're going to stop letting fear drive the car. And I'll leave you with this. You don't need to earn the life that you want by suffering first, okay? You don't need to justify if it feels easy. You don't need to apologize for wanting more. You are here to live your life. To speak, to shine, to grow, to feel. You're here to do it all, to experience all of it. The messy middle, like the pivots, the wins, the doubt, the beauty. Maybe this is your reminder that it's safe to move again. You're not behind, you're not alone, and the only thing standing between you and your next level is you deciding to stop waiting. Even if it's messy, even if you're scared, even if you've paused for 3 weeks and convinced yourself you're not cut out for it, but even if you've paused for a year or 3 years, you are cut out for it. You don't need to wait for permission from anyone. I've got you, you've got you, so let's do it. Let's end this week's episode with the shit that I learned this week. And honestly, I'm always learning, unlearning, realising things mid-walk, mid-shower, mid-scroll, mid-breakdown. Half the time I forget them. This is my way of just slowing down and actually sharing what's landed this week, like lessons, reminders, spiritual downloads, all of it. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. But the first lesson is momentum is everything. Even just like recording this episode reminded me how much easier things are when you just start. It's the starting that's hard. It's the getting back into it that feels like the mountain. But once you're in motion, everything softens. I actually forgot how much I enjoy this, how good it just feels to talk, to share, to process out loud. Even if no one listens, this is fun for me. And the only thing that was stopping me was me. So if you've been waiting for a sign to do the thing, this is it. You don't need the perfect plan. You don't need to feel 10 out of 10. You don't need to feel ready, you just need to start. Because the clarity that you're searching for doesn't come from overthinking, it comes from action. So just do it. Lesson 2 is letting go of the illusion of control. This one hit me on a walk, and I was honestly like having a little bit of a stressful day, and I was like, if I don't take anything off, then the whole day is going to be a write-off and my week's ruined and blah blah blah, and everything's like, yeah, I get dramatic sometimes, but it feels real. And then I just thought, why do I still believe that if I stop, then the world's going to fall apart? I sometimes feel like I have to keep going and micromanage every little thing and constantly be on this like hamster wheel of feeling in control. And recently, over the last few months, like, I've just stopped. I've stopped trying to control everything, and I realized that the best things that ever happened to me, they came when I surrendered, when I let go, when I stopped forcing and started just trusting. So this week, when I started to catch myself getting into that stressy control panic station again, I just reminded myself that you can't control everything. The more that you try to control, the more resistance that you create, and then you start operating from a place of lack and desperation, and that's just not a nice place to be. The more that you try to, the more resistance is that you're creating. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is just loosen your grip. Take a breath, trust that you're supported right now, let life flow. Every day, show up for yourself and do the actions that you can control, and let everything else happen. Let those results come from the little actions that you're doing, and that's pretty much it. I hope this episode reminded you that you are not lazy, you are not stuck because you're incapable of achieving your goals. You're just unraveling a pattern that was never really yours in the first place. I know that it's not easy. I know how heavy it feels when you've got 100 things on your head and none of them are getting done. But just remember, one small action today is worth more than 100 perfect plans tomorrow. You could have all the plans in the world, but the actions are what's going to get you there. You don't need the perfect routine or the best camera or the best mic or the clearest strategy or the perfect gym setup or any of it. You just need a moment of courage. 1 second of just being like, fuck it, let's go. Do the thing, because your dreams won't chase themselves. A version of you that exists in the future that has all those things, she is counting on you to show up. Even when it's messy, show up, do the thing, and you'll thank yourself later, I promise you. So until next week, romanticize your life, protect your peace, stop waiting to feel ready. You already are. I love you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.